Happy to have with us as our second intermission period guest, the coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, Clayton John. And Coach, for entertainment, you can't beat this game. This is one of the most exciting hockey games I've been to.
The excitement's going clear down to the bench. It's driving us crazy, though, right now. We seem to be a little bit too emotional at times and not keeping our head on the game.
Well, Coach, the fans have really responded. This is the loudest I've heard them since opening night with Uppsala and also that Flyer game. And it really appeared to me that they really picked up the tempo there midway in the second period. And the Stephanos goal and then Holcroft's and Glass's 3 out of the last 4 by Penn State, which have given you the 1-goal lead. Is it what you had expected coming into this game?
Pretty much so, yes. Although I didn't expect us to start playing their type of a game, which seems to be what we're doing right now. We're not a super hitting team. We're more a finesse team, and right now we're playing the hard-hitting, hard type of a game, which is typical of Philadelphia type play, which is not our forte, so to speak. And that's what's costing us a lot of opportunities right now. Instead of passing the puck and looking for that open man and using just that little bit extra step speed that we have, that's costing us quite a few chances, really.
Yeah, it appeared to me that goaltender Jimmy Pollock, with some outstanding saves in the first period, really helped to turn the momentum around. He kept the club in the game because there were a lot of opportunities down at this end of the ice that Villanova had opportunities to score on, and he really came out big.
There were 4 unbelievable stops that Jim made in the first period, and as well in the second period, although it's a little harder to see from here. He's made 3 or 4 really good stops also to keep us, again, like you say, in the game. Right now, what we have to do strategy-wise is just come out and settle back down into our type of a game. This is the kind of a team you can't play defensively against. You have to play offense all the way. And if you start sitting on a 1-goal lead, you're going to find that you're 1 goal behind before long. So we'll just have to come out flying and use our legs and try to wear them down a little bit more.
You know, we talked about Jimmy Pollock's performance. Of course, last night you got an outstanding game from Andy Schaub, who turned in the first shutout for Penn State in, some 7 or 8 years. So you've really been getting some strong play between the pipes in the last few weeks.
Really, that's with the injuries we've had lately, we've had to call on different guys, it seems like every night, to turn in a sterling performance to keep us in a game. And Andy did it last night, made quite a few saves early, and then just sort of held on and made the big ones and got us that first shutout. Like you say, and Jim's doing the same thing tonight. With Randy Fartelman being out, it's a little bit tough on defense. We've been playing a 4-man rotation, and now I've switched and went to Blackwell instead of the new fellow that I just brought up, Ackerman.
I noticed you put Bobby Holcroft on that line with Hedema and Glass, and that paid immediate dividends for you on that power play late in the second period as Holcroft scored his 2nd goal of the year, which was the tying goal. And has he had a lot of experience down in the JV squad? And basically, what are you expecting from the youngster?
Bob's a heck of a hockey player. He's got good hockey sense, as we call it, and he has a nose, for being exactly where he should be at the right time. Bob played for me 3 years ago, and he's not that young, but he is playing with the JVs now, and I brought him up when we had an injury to Greg Warren with a bad knee.
Well, you really had a lot of problems with the injuries. It's really been unbelievable. Of course, as you mentioned, Randy Fartelman going down last night, and Greg Warren's been out, and I know that some other players are out there playing hurt. And what does this do to you? You play with consistent line combinations throughout the course of the year, and players get used to working with one another, and then all of a sudden you have injuries and you have to start shuffling. Does this affect the play of the rest of the squad that's out there playing with new line mates and new combinations?
It does affect it to some degree, but you'll notice a lot of times if we have a 2 or 3 goal lead in a few games, I've played really weird combinations. I've changed people around, I've moved people in and out, and juggled the lines consistently, and that was to try to give them at least a little idea of what they could expect from somebody else on their line. Although I will say I didn't play Glass and Holdcroft and Hedema before tonight, but it was necessitated by a sort of an injury on another line, which is DeStefano's line. Brad Rush hurt his left shoulder, and now I'm a little bit leery about putting him back out.
This is the third game of a three-game weekend. The Nittany Lions won on Friday night over Buffalo State 8-3, and then, as we talked about before, came up with that big shutout of Drexel last night. How does the squad feel right now? They played 8 periods of hockey in under 48 hours. Are they going to have enough wind to suck it up and go out there in the third period and come away with a victory?
I'll tell you, it sounds impossible, but when playing 3 games like we have in the past and traveling a lot of times in between the 3 games, has given us a stamina which I don't think any other team can match that we've played this year. Going into the third period, we know in the back of our minds that the other team is dead tired. We may be tired, but we're not near as tired as that other team. And it really has done a lot psychologically for us. It's given us a lift in the third period, knowing that we should be able to outskate anybody that we're against so far.
Let's talk about next weekend. The University of Pennsylvania is coming in here. And I know Penn, playing in the Ivy League, used to have a very, very successful varsity program. And they were always one of the leading hockey schools in the nation. What's the current level of their play right now? I know they're not playing varsity anymore, at least not in the same NCAA competition that they were. But still, I've heard that they have a fine club, and it's going to be a very competitive games both next Friday and Saturday night.
They have a really good team. It's a very high-level club as far as the quality of play that they do, put on the ice. They have about 4 fellows, I believe, left from their old varsity program, which was dissolved by the university quite a while ago, and 3 years ago, I believe. And those fellows are sort of the nucleus, and they've done on their own, sort of coached and got some. Well, they're down in the Philadelphia area. There's always a lot of talent, and they've brought a lot of new players in, and they have a really good team. In fact, I believe they tied Villanova once, and they played them twice. He tied them once, I think, and beat them once, I believe.
Now, we were mentioning before that although you're not in a league this year, and that, of course, is an unfortunate situation in a way, although I realize that the purpose of that was to eventually advance and get into NCAA 2 or Division 3 down the road. But in terms of incentive, they really seem to be playing well. Obviously, today is a big game with Villanova, and they don't really need any extra incentive. But how about these tournaments coming up? Is this going to be something that's going to provide the team with a chance to come away with some real tournament glory and something to really look back on in the summer and the years ahead, say tournament victories possibly in the Kent State tournament?
I believe so, yes. It's something that the only thing we're concentrating on right now is this game today, but what we have said, we're taking them one at a time, but when we get to Kent State, nothing would please us more and be also able to show the university exactly what brand of hockey we're playing is to go up against a high-level Division II team, which Kent State is. They played 3 Division I teams this year, beating Air Force. They just lost, I believe, this week to Army. I think they played Army, which is also independent Division I. But they lost those games by a narrow margin, I think by 2 goals. That was Friday and Saturday.
The tournament we're mentioning is coming up on the 6th and 7th in Kent State. Also, there's been talk about a possible tournament here at the Ice Pavilion to close out the season with maybe Navy and Eastern Michigan. Is there any further word on that possibility?
I think we've had to sort of forget that idea. It was a little bit late when we decided to go with it because of Pitt folding. As far as our caliber of play was concerned, they just no longer wanted to come up and play us. So what we've done is we've contacted a few other colleges, and it's very possible Canisius College, which is, I'd say, probably about, one of the 4th best Division III teams in the area, is possibly thinking about coming down to fill those 2 dates for us.
Okay, well, I'm certain that the fans will look forward to that. We've got about, another 6 or 7 minutes to go here as the Zamboni machine is out cleaning the ice. And we'll take a break right now. You're listening to Penn State Hockey on FM 91.